The Midnight Echo. The gentle click of Ethan Morgan's camera shutter broke the evening silence in Whisperwood Forest. Shadows stretched between ancient pines as twilight descended. His breath formed small clouds in the cooling air while he adjusted. His tripod. 27 years old and more comfortable among trees than people, Ethan found peace in these solitary expeditions. A strange sensation prickled at the back of his neck. Something felt different tonight. The forest had gone unnaturally quiet. No owls called. No creatures rustled through underbrush. Then he heard it. A low, resonant hum that seemed to vibrate through his chest rather than reach his ears. Curious and cautious, Ethan packed his equipment and followed the sound, deeper into the woods. The hum grew louder, pulsing like a heartbeat, leading him off the familiar trail and into dense underbrush. "Hello?" he called, hearing only forest whispers in response. The trees opened into a clearing Ethan had never seen before, revealing a sight that stopped him cold. A shallow crater scarred the earth, steam rising from scorched soil. At its center lay a structure unlike anything he'd ever encountered. Not quite a vehicle, not quite a pod. Its surface rippled with iridescent patterns that seemed alive, partially buried in disturbed earth. Approaching slowly, Ethan noticed something moving near the structure. A figure, half concealed in shadows. His photographer's instincts made him reach for his camera before common sense prevailed. This was no wildlife encounter. The figure shifted, revealing itself as feminine in form but unmistakably not human. Her skin glowed a soft lavender in the fading light, luminous and smooth. Long hair, like spilled ink, framed a face of alien beauty. Her eyes, large and expressive, held concentric rings of silver that caught what little light remained. Blood, or something like it, shimmered with an ethereal blue glow where it seeped from a wound on her arm. She looked up at Ethan, her expression a universal language of pain and fear. "Please," she whispered, her voice melodic and strange. "Don't be afraid of me." Ethan froze, torn between running and staying. Her words had formed, in his mind, rather than reached his ears. He swallowed hard, finding his voice. "You're hurt." She nodded slightly, wincing as she attempted to move. The wound on her arm contained fragments of crystalline material, embedded deeply. "I need to leave," she projected into his thoughts. "They will come." "Who will come?" Ethan asked, crouching beside her, amazed at how quickly his fear had transformed into concern. She didn't answer. Instead, her silver-ringed eyes fluttered closed as consciousness left her. Ethan looked around the darkening forest, then back at the injured alien woman. He couldn't leave her here, exposed and vulnerable, making a decision that would forever alter his life. Ethan carefully lifted her from the ground, surprised at how light she felt. Her skin emitted a faint warmth against his chest, and her hair smelled of something like ozone and honey. He cast one last look at the strange vessel, knowing he couldn't help her with that, but he could at least provide shelter with the mysterious woman in his arms. Ethan began the trek back to his cabin. Questions swirled through his mind with each step. Who was she? Where had she come from? What had she meant by, "they will come"? The forest seemed to close around them protectively as night fully descended. Ethan moved carefully along the path, guided by moonlight filtering through branches overhead. The woman in his arms stirred occasionally, but didn't wake. His isolated cabin appeared through the trees, a small haven on the forest edge. As he carried her across the threshold, Ethan felt the weight of his decision. Whatever happened next, His solitary life among the trees had irrevocably changed. The universe had quite literally crashed into his world, and nothing would ever be the same. Sanctuary among shadows. Dawn broke over Ethan's cabin with tentative golden fingers. The woman from the stars lay on his bed, her lavender skin catching morning light in ways that made it shimmer. Ethan had spent the night in his chair, watching over her with equal measures of wonder and apprehension. He'd cleaned her wound as best he could, removing several crystal fragments that seemed fused with her flesh. Each shard had pulsed with inner light before dimming once separated from her body. The alien woman had remained unconscious through his amateur medical efforts, occasionally murmuring words in a language that sounded like flowing water. A soft gasp drew his attention. She was awake, silver-ringed eyes wide with confusion as she took in her surroundings. "You're safe," Ethan said quietly, raising his hands to show he meant no harm. "I brought you to my home after you collapsed." She stared at him, her gaze intense. Then her hand moved to a pendant around her neck, a translucent crystal, similar to the fragments he'd removed from her wound. It pulsed gently as she touched it. "Thank you." This time her words came as sound rather than thought, accented but understandable. "You helped me when you could have feared me." "You're still hurt," Ethan replied, cautiously moving closer. "What can I do?" "Water," she said, "and time." Ethan fetched a glass of water, watching in fascination as she examined it, before drinking. Her movements were graceful despite her injury, every gesture deliberate and fluid. "My name is Ethan Morgan," he offered. She hesitated before responding. "I am Naya." The way she pronounced it made the name sound like music. "I come from a world you call—" She paused, searching for words. "Constellation of the Hunter. Orion," Ethan suggested, amazed at how quickly the strangeness of their situation was becoming normalized. She nodded. "My home is Vazura, third planet, of the dual suns." Her fingers touched the crystal at her neck. "This helps me understand your language, but it needs time to adapt fully." "Why are you here?" Ethan asked, then quickly added, "If you want to tell me." Naya's expression darkened. "Not by choice." She looked toward the window. "My ship was damaged during escape." Her words became more fluid as the crystal brightened. "I was not expecting to find this world, or to be found by someone kind." Ethan busied himself preparing a simple breakfast, giving her space. The normality of cooking eggs while an alien woman sat in his bed struck him as absurdly comical. A laugh escaped him before he could stop it. "What brings you joy?" Naya asked, tilting her head. "Just," he gestured vaguely. "All of this?" "Yesterday, I was photographing birds. Today I'm making breakfast for someone from another planet." A smile transformed her face, making the luminous quality of her skin brighten. "Life changes quickly," she agreed. One moment flying among stars, next moment crashed in forest. When Ethan brought her a plate, he noticed her wound had already begun to heal, the edges knitting together much faster than any human injury would. She examined the food cautiously, before trying small bites. "Can you tell me who's looking for you?" he asked. Her expression grew guarded. "Commander Krell and his hunters." She set the plate aside. "They seek what I know, what I carry." Her hand moved instinctively to a small pouch concealed within her. Strange clothing. "Are they dangerous?" "Very," she whispered. "They will not care who stands between them and their prize." Ethan should have felt afraid. Yet somehow the threat seemed distant, compared to the immediate reality of this extraordinary woman. Her presence filled his small cabin with an energy he'd never experienced, something both foreign and oddly familiar. Throughout the day, Naya's strength returned incrementally. By afternoon, she could stand and move around the cabin, examining Ethan's possessions with childlike curiosity. His camera particularly fascinated her. She held it reverently, asking endless questions about how it captured light and memory. "We have similar tools, but not for beauty," she explained. "Only for information, facts, data." She gestured toward his photos hanging on the walls. "You capture feeling. This is different." As evening approached, Ethan built a fire in the small stone hearth. Naya watched the flames with evident delight, moving closer to feel their warmth. "Your world has such primal energy," she said softly. "We have forgotten this connection to elements." They sat before the fire as darkness claimed the forest outside. The crystal at Naya's neck glowed steadily. Now, her command of English improving by the hour. They talked of simple things: the forest, the stars, the differences between their worlds. Each revelation built a bridge between them, turning the impossible into something tangible. When Naya finally drifted to sleep beside the fire, Ethan watched the gentle rise and fall of her chest. The purple hue of her skin deepened in slumber, making her seem both more alien and somehow more vulnerable. Something protective stirred within him. Outside, hidden among distant trees, a faint light blinked in the night sky. Too regular to be a star, too purposeful to be coincidence. Something was coming, but for tonight at least, they were safe in their sanctuary among shadows. Luminous. Secrets. Morning mist clung to Whisperwood Forest as Ethan stepped onto his porch. Naya stood beside him, her lavender skin almost glowing in the soft dawn light. 3 days had passed since he'd found her, and her recovery progressed with remarkable speed. The wound on her arm had nearly healed, leaving only a faint crystalline pattern beneath her skin. "Your forest breathes," she observed quietly. "On Vazura, our wilderness was destroyed generations ago. Only carefully maintained gardens remain." "That sounds sad," Ethan replied, offering her a steaming mug of tea. She had developed a fondness for the earthy beverage. "It was," she confirmed, accepting the mug with a gentle smile. "My people chose advancement over harmony, believing one must replace the other." She gazed into the swirling steam. "I was considered strange for questioning this path." They settled into comfortable silence, watching birds flit between branches. The translator crystal at Naya's throat now functioned perfectly, allowing conversation to flow naturally between them. Each day revealed new aspects of her character, her quick mind, her compassionate nature, her unexpected sense of humor. "Will you show me more of your photographs today?" Naya asked. Her interest in his work touched something in Ethan that had long been dormant. Inside, he opened his portfolio while Naya sat cross-legged on the floor. Her eyes widened with each new image: sunset-bathed mountains, fog-wrapped trees, a deer and fawn in morning light. "You see beauty where others might not look," she said. "This gift is rare among my people, too." Ethan smiled, feeling understood in a way he hadn't experienced before. "What did you do on your world?" Naya's expression shifted, becoming both proud and sad. "I was a healer, but not like your doctors." Her fingers traced patterns in the air. "We heal through energy and light, restoring balance rather than simply treating symptoms." She reached for his hand, hesitantly. "May I show you?" When he nodded, she placed her palm against his. A gentle warmth spread up his arm and throughout his body, carrying with it a sensation of profound well-being. Colors he couldn't name danced at the edges of his vision. "That's amazing," he whispered when she withdrew her touch. "It is connection," she corrected, "between all living things. Something lost to much of my world. The reason I had to flee. I don't understand." Naya sighed, her silver-ringed eyes darkening. "My world is divided. Those who seek power and those who protect life." She reached for the small pouch she kept always near. Opening it carefully, she revealed a crystal unlike any Ethan had seen, multifaceted and pulsing with inner light. "This contains the collective healing knowledge of generations," she explained. "Commander Krell and his faction wish to weaponize this knowledge, turn healing into harm." Her voice trembled slightly. "I refuse to surrender it." Becoming she searched for the word. Traitor in their eyes. Ethan's hand found hers, squeezing gently. "You're not a traitor for protecting something precious." Her eyes met his, vulnerable and searching. "You understand without explanation. How is this possible between beings from different stars?" "Maybe some things are universal," he suggested quietly. That evening, they walked together along the edge of a small lake near Ethan's cabin. Sunset painted the water copper and gold. Naya waded, ankle deep, fascinated by the cool sensation. Her laughter when fish darted past her feet was musical and unrestrained. "I've never seen you so happy," Ethan observed, smiling at her joy. "Freedom is still new to me," she admitted. "On Vazura, everything was controlled, measured, catalogued." She spun in a slow circle, arms outstretched. "Here, I can simply exist, breathe without purpose." Later, as firelight painted the cabin walls with dancing shadows, Naya described her world, its crystalline cities, its twin suns, the music that filled the air during seasonal celebrations. Her words painted pictures more vivid than any photograph. "Do you miss it?" Ethan asked. "I miss what it was, not what it became." She looked at him, with an intensity that made his heart quicken. "And each day, here makes memory fade further." Something shifted between them in that moment. A recognition of feelings neither had voiced. Ethan moved closer, hesitantly reaching to touch her face. Her skin felt warm beneath his fingers, almost vibrating with subtle energy. Naya leaned into his touch, her silver-ringed eyes holding his. "I never expected to find connection so far from home," she whispered. "I never expected to find it at all," he confessed. When their lips met, it felt both impossible and inevitable. Naya's arms encircled him, pulling him closer. The kiss deepened, transcending the differences between their worlds. Her luminous skin brightened with emotion, casting gentle purple light across their embracing figures. They separated slowly, foreheads touching, breathing synchronized. Outside stars wheeled overhead, some perhaps visible from both Earth and Vazura, binding their worlds across unfathomable distance. "I wish we had more time," Naya whispered against his lips. "What do you mean?" Her expression grew troubled. "The hunters are closing in. I can feel their instruments scanning." She touched the crystal at her throat. "Soon they will find this place." Ethan pulled her closer, protective and defiant. "Let them come," he said with more confidence than he felt. "They'll have to go through me first." Naya's eyes glistened with emotion. "That is what I fear most," she admitted, pressing her face against his chest. Her next words were so soft he barely heard them. "Because I am falling in love with you, Ethan Morgan of Earth." He held her tighter as night deepened around their sanctuary, knowing that what they had found might be as fleeting as it was miraculous. But for now, in the warm glow of firelight and newfound love, they allowed themselves to forget the dangers lurking beyond the forest's edge. Hunters in the dark. The breaking twig might have gone unnoticed by anyone else, but Ethan's ears, trained by years in the wilderness, caught the sound instantly. He froze, hand reaching for Naya's. She had heard it too, her silver-ringed eyes, wide with alarm. "They're here," she whispered, barely audible above the forest sounds. A week had passed since her crash landing, days filled with deepening connection and nights of tender discoveries, exploring the beautiful differences between their species through gentle touches and whispered affirmations. But paradise always ends. Their borrowed time had run out. "The back door," Ethan mouthed, guiding her through his cabin with practiced quiet. Through the window, metallic glints betrayed movement among distant trees, too deliberate for wildlife, too methodical for hikers. They slipped into the forest behind the cabin, using Ethan's knowledge of hidden game trails to put distance between themselves and the approaching hunters. Naya moved with surprising agility, her healing complete. The morning mist provided cover as they wove through ancient pines. "Who's leading them?" Ethan asked, when they paused to catch their breath in a secluded hollow. "Commander Krell," she confirmed, her voice tight with fear. "I sense his energy signature." Her hand clutched the pouch containing the precious healing crystal. "He will not stop. His ambition consumes him like your world's fire." Ethan peered through dense foliage, trying to gauge their pursuer's direction. "We need to reach the eastern caves. There's a network underground that few know about." They moved again, careful to leave minimal signs of passage. The forest seemed to conspire with them. Branches, shifting to obscure their trail, fallen leaves refusing to crunch beneath their feet. Ethan led them through a shallow stream, walking its course for nearly a mile before exiting onto rocky ground that would hold no footprints. By midday, they reached the cave entrance, hidden behind a curtain of vines and moss. Inside, cool darkness embraced them. They ventured deeper, Ethan's small flashlight carving a narrow path through blackness. "The healing crystal grows stronger here," Naya observed, removing it from its pouch. Its light pulsed in harmony with the stone surrounding them, illuminating the cave in soft waves of color. "Your earth responds to it, recognizing something kindred. Is that good or bad?" "Good for us," she said, "but also easier for Krell to track." They settled in a chamber deep within the cave system, water dripping somewhere in the darkness, creating a soothing rhythm. Ethan unpacked the small bag of supplies he'd managed to grab during their escape. Water, some food, a blanket. As evening approached, the temperature dropped. Naya moved closer to Ethan, her body radiating a gentle warmth that belied her slender frame. He wrapped the blanket around them both, creating a cocoon of shared heat. "I'm sorry," she whispered against his neck. "I've brought danger into your peaceful life." Ethan tightened his arms around her. "My life was quiet, not peaceful," he corrected. "There's a difference." Their eyes met in the crystals, pulsing light. Her luminous skin cast purple shadows across his face as she traced his features with delicate fingers. "On my world, we have a belief that souls sometimes scatter across galaxies, searching for their other fragments." "Soulmates?" Ethan suggested. "Similar, but more complex." Her lips curved in a smile. "We call it astral resonance, when two beings vibrate at complementary frequencies despite forming in different stars." "Is that what you think we have?" Instead of answering, Naya kissed him, Her lips carried a slight electric tingle that sent shivers down his spine. The blanket slipped from their shoulders as they melted into each other, need and fear and desire blending into desperate passion. Clothing gave way to exploration, his tanned skin a stark contrast against her luminous lavender. Every touch between them sparked small flickers of light where their skin made contact. Naya's eyes glowed brighter with each caress, turning molten silver as Ethan discovered the places that made her gasp and tremble. They moved together in the ancient darkness, their joining transcending physical pleasure to become something almost spiritual. When release finally claimed them, Naya's skin flared with intense, purple light, momentarily illuminating the entire chamber before subsiding to a soft afterglow. That was, Ethan struggled for words. Perfect, she finished, nestling against him. And dangerous. Worth it, he insisted. Later, as Naya slept in, his arms. Ethan contemplated the impossible journey that had brought them together. What were the odds that of all places in the universe, she would crash near his forest? That of all people on Earth, he would be the one to find her. The mathematics of such coincidence seemed less plausible than Naya's theory of astral resonance. A distant sound broke his reverie, metal against stone, voices too controlled to be casual hikers. Ethan gently woke Naya, pressing a finger to his lips. "They've found the cave system," he whispered. "We need to move deeper." They gathered their belongings quickly, the crystal's light now carefully shielded. Using Ethan's knowledge of the caves, they navigated through increasingly narrow passages. Eventually, they emerged into a chamber unlike the others, its walls embedded with veins of crystal similar to those in Naya's healing stone. "This place," she breathed in wonder, touching the wall. "It resonates with my world's energy." Before Ethan could respond, a cold voice echoed through the passage behind them. "Indeed it does." Healer Naya. The voice spoke English, but with an accent far different from Naya's musical tones. Harder, more precise. A fortunate coincidence that makes tracking you quite simple. They turned to find a tall figure blocking their exit. His appearance was almost human, but with skin of deep blue and eyes like black glass. The uniform he wore seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. "Commander Krell," Naya said, stepping protectively in front of Ethan. "Your native companion was clever, using water and stone to mask your trail." Krell's emotionless eyes evaluated Ethan. But ultimately futile, Ethan reached for Naya's hand, squeezing it in, silent support. They had known this confrontation was inevitable. Now that it had arrived, he felt strangely calm. "The High Council awaits your return." "Naya," Krell continued, "along with the knowledge you stole. I safeguarded what was never yours to weaponize," she responded, her voice steady despite her fear. "Semantics," Krell dismissed with a wave. "Will you come willingly, or must I take more persuasive measures?" The commander's hand moved to a device at his belt. Ethan tensed, preparing to launch himself forward despite knowing the futility of fighting an alien adversary. But before either could act, a rumble shook the cave, dislodging dust and small stones from above. Naya's eyes widened in recognition. "The crystal network is responding to proximity," she whispered to Ethan. "This cave system must connect to something ancient, something from my world." As if confirming her words, the crystal veins in the walls began to glow, creating a network of light that spread throughout the chamber. Commander Krell stepped back, momentary uncertainty crossing his features. "What have you done?" he demanded. Naya looked as surprised as he did, but in her eyes, Ethan saw something else blooming. Hope. Starlit promise, The cave glowed with intensifying light, crystal veins pulsating like living arteries throughout the stone. Commander Krell's face contorted with rage as the ground trembled beneath them. The healing crystal. Naya whispered to Ethan. "It's communicating with this place." Understanding dawned in her silver-ringed eyes. She pressed the ancient crystal from her pouch against the wall. A surge of energy rippled outward. The chamber transformed into a nexus of light, temporarily. "Blinding them all!" Krell lunged forward, but a barrier of energy materialized between him and the couple. His weapons proved useless against the phenomenon. "You don't understand what you're protecting," Krell shouted at Ethan. "She's disrupting the natural order. Her healing knowledge threatens our military advantage." "Maybe your order needs disruption," Ethan replied, standing firmly beside Naya. The energy field expanded, revealing what appeared to be a portal, swirling with cosmic light. Naya gasped in recognition. "An ancient travel gate," she explained quickly. "My ancestors left them throughout the galaxy. This one has been dormant for millennia." "You have a choice," Krell warned, his voice cold. "Surrender the crystal or watch. Your human die." Additional hunters appeared behind their commander. Weapons raised, the standoff balanced on a knife's edge. Naya turned to Ethan. Her luminous skin dimmed with sorrow. "I must go," she said. "If I stay, they will never stop hunting. Your world will become collateral damage." "Take me with you," Ethan pleaded. She touched his face tenderly. "Your body couldn't survive the transition without preparation, and your life is here, among your trees and stars." Their final kiss tasted of tears and stardust. In that moment, Ethan understood what it meant to love beyond boundaries, beyond planets, beyond species. "I will find a way back to you," she promised against his lips. "This is not our end, Ethan Morgan, but a pause between chapters." With a final touch to his face, Naya stepped toward the portal. The healing crystal pulsed in her hand, creating a feedback loop with the cave's energy. A blinding flash forced Ethan to shield his eyes. When he could see again, Naya, Krell, and the hunters were gone. The cave had returned to ordinary stone, though faint luminescence still traced the crystal veins. Months passed. Ethan returned to his life, yet fundamentally changed. Each night, he visited the forest clearing, where he'd first found Naya, watching stars with new awareness of who existed among them. One evening, as summer warmth gave way to autumn chill, a familiar hum vibrated through the clearing. Ethan's heart raced as light coalesced before him, forming into a purple-skinned figure with silver-ringed eyes and a smile that outshone the stars. "I promised," Naya said simply, her hand extending toward him. "Are you ready for your journey now?" Without hesitation, Ethan took her hand, feeling the familiar electric tingle of her touch. Behind her, the portal shimmered with possibilities, reflecting countless stars and worlds. "I've been ready since the moment you left," he answered. Their silhouettes merged as they stepped together into cosmic light, leaving behind only footprints in the forest clearing, and above, stars continuing their eternal dance across the infinite expanse of space and time.